fucking DD logo, dude. For some reason, Disney Marvel doesn't want to show you the logo. But yeah, we're playing Daredevil on fucking Game Boy Advance, dude. So originally I had wanted to get a Game Boy player because I found out that now they have like memory cards that will, you don't need the disc anymore. Like they have these memory cards that'll boot it up off of a game, like a certain list of games. So I had one of them, F-Zero GX. So I was gonna do that, but the GameCube I had was pretty fucked up. It was like my third one, so I was like, well, shit, dude. Oh yeah, I remembered because I had bought a Retron NES thing, so I was looking up, like, surely they did like a Game Boy one, and sure enough they did. So I read the reviews, and they like, I don't know, people were saying that's not worth buying, but I don't know, I think like the people that review that shit are like notoriously like, they're the people that like spend hella money on like buying frame meisters and shit, like making everything look as good as possible. I kind of just wanted a way to play the games first, you know. That's sort of my philosophy, even if it looks kind of shitty. So anyway, yeah, playing it on that. But the game is real, so to me that's kind of more what matters. Don't want to dip into like multi-carts or even emulation for a while anyway. So I like collecting shit. But anyway, so yeah, this is the only real like Daredevil game. He's made appearances in other games, and he's made appearances in games I've been playing lately, which is kind of apropos for the character, that he shows up a lot in other people's shit. This is based off the movie, so I wanted to do a review of the movie because I always really liked it. Even though at the time it got like bad reviews, it was like kind of a hit movie. I remember it came out on Valentine's Day. That kind of started the trend of like superhero movies on Valentine's Day. Like Captain America, New Brave New World just did. Last year it was Madam Web. So yeah, they started that trend. Oh, this is the bar fight scene. Damn, you get some Jake fights. Oh shit, Affleck. I haven't watched this yet. I skipped it. This says 20th Century Fox where my camera is. Damn, they just run through the whole movie. Oh shit. He's pretty good Kingpin. I mean, like, Vincent D'Onofrio is awesome, but he's good too. R.I.P. Michael Clark Duncan. Damn, that's the whole movie. Oh, stick. So I guess they had to show the whole movie. This is like a sequel, dude. Oh, damn. Cool song. Crooks don't like bounties on their heads. Do you know anything else? Find out what Electra knows. Penthouse. Later, stick. So yeah, he's got a spiral arrow. Oh shit. Yeah, it's basically like a SNES controller. The bumpers give him like the right one gives him. It's like standing heavy. Standing heavy punch. And getting recommended on YouTube like videos about how like why Steve Ditko hates Stanley and shit. And then when I was kind of looking up the origin of the character in the comics, like I guess Stan kind of came up with the idea, although that's deceptive because like it was sort of a revival of an older comic called Daredevil, and he was looking for artists to work on it with, and Steve Ditko like wouldn't even talk to him after what happened with Spider-Man because they wanted a hero like Spider-Man basically. That's why they're kind of like very intertwined in a way. But eventually, Jack Kirby and I forget the other guy agreed to like collab on the design. So he's designed in part at least by Jack Kirby. But he didn't have the red suit until later. So, but anyway, so yeah, I guess talk about the show first. It came out a couple days ago. Mostly just been watching. Like, I didn't watch it again. I'm just going off memories, but I've mostly just been watching other people's reviews. I don't have too much different to say than what a lot of other people are saying. I mean, I guess in a way it's kind of divisive because some people, I have seen people online that are like super into it and it's amazing. And it's weird because I kind of felt that way like right as I was done watching the second episode, but I think it was more just like, oh, I really want to see what happens next. But you know when you watch something at first, you're kind of like, oh shit, that was cool. But not to say I didn't have issues as I was watching it, and those were still there. But yeah, this was one instance where I can say that like hearing everyone else's opinion like kind of crystallized my thoughts on it. Because I would have been a little jaded, just because I'm glad like Daredevil's back, and I'm glad that Disney Plus put out a somewhat competent show. I mean, it's like the best show they've put out, which I know people, it's like not really a high bar to clear. It's not saying much, but it's not like utter shite either. Although I have seen that viewpoint on it too, and I can kind of see, I guess. So I did watch the Netflix show, but I was trying to remember if I'd seen the third season. I went back and looked at the episode listings, and I don't know if I remember all the bullseye shit. I don't know. But like, I guess apparently it ends with Daredevil and Bullseye and Kingpin having like a fucking three-way match. So that, and then like Bullseye gets like, I think they said it was like adamantium or something on his bones. People on Twitter are saying that. I don't know if they actually say that, but I guess it's implied he got some shit on his spine. But I do vaguely remember that they don't ever call him Bullseye in the Netflix show. It's just Dex or whatever. So I think around that time I was kind of not liking the shows because they were like, wasn't Punisher season 2 kind of lame, and then they were doing like Jessica Jones 2 and Defenders. I haven't seen any of that shit before, so one day I'll get around to. They're all in. I think they're all in Ultimate Alliance too. Luke Cage. What's her superhero name? Songbird or some shit. Mockingbird. And Iron Fist. Iron Fisto. Man, they really fucked him. But anyway, yeah, I was kind of losing interest in the shows, but definitely the first 2 seasons of Daredevil are pretty awesome. And especially like with the fight scenes and then all the shit when he fights the hand with Elektra and shit. All that was tight. So yeah, I vaguely remember that, and then She-Hulk, which I briefly talked about a while back. Someone had posted a clip on Twitter saying like, oh, not y'all liking She-Hulk because they were saying how like She-Hulk did a better job of showing Daredevil jumping around and shit. And like from that clip you can't really argue because it's the scene where She-Hulk is like trying to stop Daredevil from attacking her client, the frog guy. It was a pretty cool scene. I think I said in my Hulk review that there are elements of She-Hulk that were good, but there's no way you can say on the whole did justice to the character. It was a good show at all. But yeah, it had its moments, which I always say. But yeah, dude. So like, the first like 15 minutes, I know everyone talks about, like, I remember as I'm watching it, it's like, really, they're doing this like right at the beginning, which, like, I guess really why they're doing it is because I remember when they were first announcing they were going to do the show, like, and they were doing away with all the old shit. So they basically developed it for so long before they changed creative teams or whatever, and filmed a lot of the show that they were gonna do, and then they're like, what the fuck, you can't just ignore all that shit, so let's do some hasty reshoots. It looks like a fan film, dude. Like the shots of Daredevil, because there's all that like green screen. Even later on, there's scenes of like Murdoch like out on his balcony and shit, but there's like fake smoke, and you can tell it's just like green screen. It just looks like a bad, like, not bad, but like it looks like a YouTube fan film or whatever, or like a Robert Rodriguez movie. Catching strays, but some people didn't like the way that his powers were shown when they're in Josie's bar and he hears Foggy outside talking, and there's like a lens flare, piece of lens flare in the middle of the frame of the shot, but it's like on his ear, and it, like, as he hears it, that's sort of a visualize his powers, which I didn't think it was. I thought that was cool, I guess. What I don't like is the fact that they never show, like in the movie, his fucking sonar vision is blind mode. You know, they never like show that shit, or like show some fucking concentric circles popping out of his head or some shit, something cool, dude. But like, at least I give him credit for trying to visually show his powers a little bit, which they never do for some reason, because it's always cheap, dude. All these shows are always on the cheap, especially for Daredevil. It's fucked up. Honestly, I'm more interested in, even though it sounds like corny to say this, like, I want to see him like interact with the real fucking characters, you know what I mean? Spider-Man. For starters, that's just for starters. Like, I want him around everybody, you know, everyone they have left anyway. I guess it's too late for any of that to like be super cool, but they can try. But yeah, there's like a shot of like Daredevil swinging in from the rooftops and shit, and it's literally like the same shot as like Batman and Joss Whedon's reshoots for Justice League. And there's a shot of him jumping onto like a catwalk or whatever, and there's like the stained glass like church in the background. It's definitely a nod to the movie. There's a couple nods to it, but it's like a very similar shot in the movie. Unfortunately, like the digital double stuff with Daredevil, like fighting and swinging and shit, it's literally just as bad as it was in 2003, which is insane. That hasn't gotten any better. It looks really bad, and everything has this like fake smoke to it. Like when him and Bullseye are fighting inside. Oh yeah, Bullseye kills a fly. That's another nod to the movie. Yeah, when they're fighting, like a smoke grenade goes off, and it's weird the way they make smoke look in the show. feel like it's like the same kind of smoke they use in all the Marvel stuff. They just like change the colors of it. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it has the same look. It's like they're reusing the same smoke file or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I guess it's supposed to look cool. It's supposed to look like it's all in one shot, like them fighting each other, and then like they get covered up and you only see their silhouettes fighting, and then they get closer to the camera, and then people are trying to run out of the bar and shit, and he throws like a pool ball, and you think like he misses his old lady, and then it like bounces around and hits her. I actually really love that because they don't. In the movie, they kind of show Bullseye like what he can do, but to me as a kid, like reading his powers and like just your imagination goes to like, well, that's crazy, like how he can kill people with anything, you know. And I don't know if they do a really good job of highlighting that in the movie or even the show. If they did, people would have said how badass he was. He still doesn't have his suit yet, dude. Even in the movie, he has a line, fucking Colin Farrell. He's like, I want a suit. He says, I want a suit. Whatever he says it. He's like, I want a damn suit. What is he, Irish or some shit? Yeah, I was kind of groaning at first with like Kingpin like running for mayor. Like, oh shit, dude. There's so much like politics shoved in your face all the time. But I don't think they like intentionally like try to make any like real life references. It just so happens that in the story he's running for mayor. So I guess it makes sense. But yeah, him and Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, them together is really like the best part of the show, and like the only part of the show that you can say is like really exceptional is the scenes they have together, like the one where they're in the diner together and shit. Oh yeah, the one part about that scene I didn't like was at the end of it, like they're like, oh, glad we can agree not to like, because they threaten each other not to like show their true colors or whatever. But I wanted Daredevil to say, I'm glad we see eye to eye. That would have been funny. But yeah, the whole like marriage counseling thing is kind of awkward and weird, and like it's like kind of Sopranos ripoff. Oh yeah, and James Gandolfini's son. He's like a Fist, like political aide, like the younger one. He has like one that's like straight laced or whatever. Is that fucking? Oh, how can I forget her name? Constance Marie, Selena's mom. Is that her, dude? I always thought she was super hot. She's still not bad, but she's always like, I don't know why there's like a lot of scenes of like her like trying to tell Fisk one thing and then like him siding with the younger, weird guy, Gandolfini's son. But it's cool because when he becomes mayor, I think he makes like a public address and he mentions Spider-Man and Punisher, which is cool. Don't tease that shit. Even though, like, yeah, to be honest, this MCU Spider-Man sucks. So. It's all like, it all would have been cool like 15 years ago, you know. But I still kind of want to see. Yeah, the new love interest. I was trying to like give the show the benefit of the doubt. Like, are they gonna shove, you know, DEI into this shit? And the actress, she's, you know, a very beautiful woman, but I don't know. She kind of looks like maybe a little old. I don't know. For him, you know, it's weird. They do have like a fine scene together, I guess, when they first meet, but like, I know it feels like the chemistry is like kind of forced or whatever. know if I buy it yet. I think one thing about like watching the other reviews, it's like it kind of made me. I really didn't want to be critical yet of the show, and I think that's why I kind of liked it at the end of the second episode. The love interest is like her, like a therapist, and at the end she ends up being the fucking marriage counselor for Fisk and his wife. And she's pretty hot. What's her Vanessa? There was a little bit of a woke like feminist element with Vanessa kind of taking over the business, and they really hammer home the fact that like she made the business better than he ever could, and obviously they turned like Fisk into kind of a pussy. Like they kind of reference Echo, which I didn't bother watching, but I saw that clip of like her doing fucking doing like a rain dance and shit, and she like touches his head and he like comes to grips with his childhood trauma or some shit. And then oh yeah, and then she shot him at the end of Hawkeye. Oh yeah, when Fisk is giving the address on like it's like Times Square or whatever the fuck, they're still showing the Rogers musical. This is another Hawkeye tie. And then yeah, they have another subplot with like, you know, he always has to defend like someone that like it totally seems like they're guilty or whatever. They do that in the movie, in the director's cut of the movie actually. Similar thing, but I guess the guy is what's his name, White Tiger. I'd never really heard of this character, and I was like, oh cool, first Latino character, and then I looked and he's Puerto Rican. I was like, oh, that sucks. But yeah, I guess apparently that guy had cancer or whatever, the actor. But in the movie, oh yeah, I was looking up the origin of the character, right, because I'd never heard of him. And oh, who was it that it was George Perez did the art, but I forgot who the writer was. But it was kind of like the writer's idea, and he thought like, oh, we'll make him like Puerto Rican because of George Perez, and he'll think it's cool or whatever. And I think George Perez said he never really thought about it much, but that he wished that when he designed it that he had put actual stripes on the costume because it's just white. But yeah, his origins basically that like it ties into like all the like the mystical like Shang-Chi shit, Fu Manchu and all that. But anyway, there's just 3 dudes that like get chosen to wear these amulets, and it like helps them do karate and shit. And at a certain point, they all like quit, and one of them throws all the amulets in the trash can, and then this Puerto Rican guy comes along, and he grabs all the amulets and puts them on, and then he knows how to do kung fu. So I mean, it's a little cooler sounding than that, but like that's kind of the basic premise. But the thing about it is, in the show, like they only show him in costume, like kind of like on like people's cell phones and shit. And like he's always like struggling with a dude in like in a bodega and shit, and he's like he's supposed to know how to do fucking karate and shit. Like they never really show him doing that. They just show him like it looks like a scene out of Kick-Ass or some shit where he's like barely like beating up people. He's like struggling with them. So I thought that was kind of odd. Another part that kind of like bugged me after I had watched the movie, because I watched the show first and then the movie again. There's a part, well, in the movie there's like multiple parts where like he'll be on the edge of a sidewalk and he'll stop someone from stepping over from like someone running a light. Like that's the Stanley cameo in the movie. But in the show there's a point where like he's tailing the witness he needs to like prove White Tiger's innocence. and he's like following and shit with his hearing. But like a cab comes in front of him that he doesn't anticipate, and it's like, how the fuck can that happen, dude? I didn't notice it as I was watching the show, but that's something that's like, that's why like you can't go off your initial impressions, because you do kind of have to be, maybe you can call it picking it apart or whatever, but yeah, that's like really stupid that he wouldn't notice that cab coming. But it doesn't matter because then he's caught up to him anyway. But anyway, so he uses his hearing to like eavesdrop on the guys that are gonna be hired to kill the witness. And he goes to that guy's apartment first, and he's like, he tells him to leave out the back, and then the guys that are coming to kill him come in, and he has like a little fight scene with both of them. A lot of people were criticizing the fight, that it's not as good as like the Netflix shit or whatever, but it was kind of just a quick little fight, so I thought it was brutal enough, I guess. It's not like, it hasn't really been a super violent show yet. But I think they cuss a little bit. But yeah, that's like where the show ends, like Matt screaming after he kicks these two dudes' ass. He breaks this one guy's arm, and then nothing like comes out. You don't see anything. It's just like a little bit of blood on his clothes. But he like does slam a dude's face in the ground. But yeah, I guess I kind of feel like maybe, because they already said that like, so yeah, basically the show is like something that they had already worked on, and then it was already too late to course correct completely until the next season, because they already said that Karen and Foggy are in the second season. So I guess I have a feeling that like the rest of whatever they have planned for this season is gonna be like kind of unspectacular, except for whenever Daredevil and Kingpin are together. And I guess maybe Punisher too, we'll see. Oh yeah, the guys that go to kill that guy, they have like Punisher tattoos and shit. So I guess they're trying to address like people like using the Punisher logo for bad reasons or whatever, taking the wrong message from it. But I think either way, good or bad, I think I'll probably be a lot more critical of the second season, because I think they really need to they need to ramp this shit up with some villains we know, man. Costumes and shit for Bullseye. Making the love with Karen Page, all that shit. Let's get to the nitty gritty. These new characters suck. But yeah. Alright, Daredevil, the movie. I mean, what, 2003, dude? Holy shit. It was good times. So, oh yeah, the director, Mark Steven Johnson. I remember I'm always fascinated by his filmography, and I was reminded when I looked it up again, because his first two movies were Grumpy Old Men and Grumpy Old Men. Those are two movies I really liked as a kid. And he also ended up directing Ghost Rider, which I actually really like that movie. And I've wanted to do a review on it for a long time. I want to get that Ghost Rider game on PS2. I think it's like a God of War clone. It always looks awesome whenever I've seen of it. So one of these days we'll get around to that shit. But yeah, you can see a lot of. I'm sure because Avi Arad is producing, but like there's a lot of Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1 in this movie, in like certain shots and like the pacing of it or whatever. check. Alright, so the movie, like I said, it had similar tone to the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And you can even see it in the credits because it has like a cool thing where it shows the whole city, but really it's like it's supposed to show his sonar vision or whatever. And it kind of looks like the same font or whatever, but the credits are, you know how in like the Spider-Man movie it had like the webs and shit. But like, and all their names like pop up in Braille first. It's pretty neat. Neat little sequel. Oh yeah, and then like one of the first shots you see, it kind of zooms in and it shows Daredevil like hugging across. It's like from like some Joe Quesada art. I think that's what it was that he did with Kevin Smith. Because the movie kind of like takes elements of that and from Frank Miller's run. And Kevin Smith and Frank Miller are both in the movie, so that was pretty cool. But oh yeah, and I forgot to mention how like so I have the director's cut on Blu-ray, but my only Blu-ray player right now is my old Xbone, and it works when it wants to. But the version on Disney Plus, it says it's 144 minutes, but I have the Blu-ray and the director's cut is 133 minutes. So I was like, what the fuck? And then when I watched the movie, I got halfway through it, and I was like, dude, this shit's like already ending. So that runtime is bullshit on Disney Plus. It's the theatrical version. So, but yeah, I remember the extended cut. It kind of like it's like a lot of extended sequences, and like I remember it makes the like ending fight scene better with Michael Clark Duncan. And there's a whole like subplot, like kind of like I said, that trope of like him like Matt Murdock like defending someone that there's no way he could like be innocent, but because of his powers he chooses to defend people like that. And it's Coolio, dude. Coolio's in the movie. He'll show up again whenever I do Batman and Robin. But yeah, they cut him out of the movie, dude. But it somehow ties into like Kingpin. I think there's more scenes with fucking Leland Orser, the dude from Seven that was like, me, fucker. Oh god. And freaks out. The freak out guy. And then he was in Alien Resurrection. He's one of the dudes that gets impregnated. But yeah, he plays Wesley, like Kingpin's like little crony. Carries his papers, his cornet would say. Oh, he has this awesome hair, dude, like fucking like 2000 style, like boy band, like fucking frosted hair with it's like, you know, parted like that, dude. It was pretty funny looking. But even in the new show, like, when are they gonna do Smythe, dude, from the cartoon? That's the guy I remember him always being with. And the fucking spider slayers. Those they need to put those in the movies already. But yeah, it basically starts with Affleck doing some voiceover showing his origins. He was getting like teased as a kid and shit. And one of the bullies is the kid from Sopranos, dude. Which is weird that there's another Sopranos connection. I remember I bought the PS2 game, but like I never got around to playing it, and then my PS2 situation got fucked up, so because I had watched all the Sopranos, so I was gonna like play the game and talk about it. But yeah, I never got to mention how much I hate that fucking kid on that show, dude. He's like the worst piece of shit character that I've ever like seen in a show, dude. I mean, probably he's worse than Joffrey, dude. I think, I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, he's like one of the bullies. And then it's funny later on, like after he gets his powers and shit, because he's on the docks and he sees his dad like working for fucking a gangster and shit, and he runs away in a fucking a little things? Forklifts? Like Shenmue. It was Hazuki-san. He fucking, there's like a shit ton of like red, like nuclear barrels and shit, and the guy slices one, and it gets into Murdoch's eyes and shit. Oh yeah, and like I said, I like how like he after that he like wakes up in the hospital and like he can hear like the drip of the IV like making loud noise and shit. So I thought it was cool how like they did the sound design and they visualize like the sonar world that he lives in, and they establish how like ringing or whatever can like, or like a solid like loud, I forget how it happens, but like it makes everything like still or whatever, so he can like actually see. Yeah, I remember it kind of got like, people said a lot of the movie was kind of like silly and like tonally awkward. Cause like I said, with like the flash kick, it looks kind of funny, and then there's a shot of him like on the rooftops, and he's like grinding down this like fucking like pole between buildings or some shit. It looks kind of funny, and like later on, when he's fighting Elektra, like he's like flipping backwards and shit on like a seesaw, and like I think at the time it looked more silly than it does now, and I actually think it's pretty cool, but it is a little clunky, you know. It was back in the like wire fu era of Hollywood of action movies, so. But I actually kind of like it. Oh yeah, the gangster the dad's working for, he's the dude from Breaking Bad, the old guy. I always forget his name. And his like little henchman is Kane Hodder. I noticed that. I was like, oh shit. Like in Jason. But then yeah, he kills the dad, Michael Clark Duncan. You don't see it yet, but he throws the rose. And that comes into play later. That's how he knows that it was Kingpin that killed his dad. And then yeah, it cuts like back to like current Ben Affleck, and he's it's cool because you see him like he sleeps in like a hyperbaric chamber, and it shows how he like separates his money and shit. And he's like listening to nu metal, and oh, there's a lot of like interesting like transitions like between scenes. Like when Affleck's in the hyperbaric chamber, there's like a transition of like a stained glass like woman to like his face at a certain point, which is pretty cool. And there's other transitions of like someone's glasses, and then it'll like they'll turn and it'll be in the next shot or whatever. You know, it's kind of hard to explain, but there's some interesting transitions like that. Oh yeah, I wrote when he first puts on the suit and you see him, they do like, it's straight out of like well, I guess it's kind of in the first Batman too, right? But it's more pronounced in the Schumacher ones, where like it's kind of like tilted, and they'll show close-ups of like his belt buckle and the billy club and his like cowl and shit. And but they didn't do like the ass shot like Batman and Robin. But I thought that was cool. Oh yeah, he takes the billy club apart and he does like this fucking thing, and there's like the CG wires around him. I guess they try to make it like the comics a little bit. And yeah, like I said, there's some shots of him jumping around the city, which look, you know, considerably better than the Disney Plus show. But like the digital doubling actually still looks the same, which is interesting. At a certain point, he like tails this criminal that he knows was lying in court, and he like follows him into a bar. And one of the thugs in the bar or whatever is that he's like the Rock stunt double or whatever, or he used to be. He looks just like him basically. But yeah, the whole bar scene's pretty cool. And then Oh yeah, so he chases the guy down into the subway, and he like gets the upper hand. John Doe has the upper hand on Daredevil, and like because he can like hear the fucking bullet chamber or whatever the fuck, he like knows when to like get out of the way and shit, and he like pushes him into the subway tracks, and he's like, that light you see, that's not heaven, that's the C train. And then he fucking does a fatality, a subway fatality. And then Joey Pantoliano, he's Ben Urich. Oh yeah, I didn't mention the fucking BB report in the show also. Yeah, this shit was cringe. I was like, what is this fucking Spider-Man corny bullshit, dude? But anyway, so yeah, he's the reporter, and like the fucking detective or whatever is like, I don't want any of this, or there's nothing on record or whatever. And he's like, there's no evidence that Daredevil was involved. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he like flicks his cigarette on the ground, and the fucking D&D logo comes out. Oh, and that's one of those transitions, because it's like, you see the flames in his glasses and shit. And then yeah, after all that, like, Daredevil comes home, and he like, there's a chick on his voicemail that's like breaking up with him because he's always leaving after they have sex. Oh yeah, he goes to his medicine cabinet. He's got fucking perks in there. Yeah, and then they have the scene in the diner with Foggy. Jon Favreau, I forgot about him. He's pretty good in this movie. He's got a couple funny jokes. They talk about how they're doing like pro bono work, and so one of the clients is feeding him in fish. He's like, I don't shake my ass to pay the phone bill. But then yeah, they're in the diner, and Jennifer Garner walks in. And yeah, dude, I remember thinking she was pretty hot when I first saw it, and she's still pretty hot in this movie. I saw a thing online on Twitter where like Affleck was reportedly trying to get back there, and where the fuck she rebuffed him. Probably fucked up like watching this movie, you know. So on the one hand, like, it's cool, like, he was Daredevil at one point, but like his wife is in the movie, and they're like, you know, fucking and shit. Yeah, anyway, Jennifer Garner comes in, and they're like, him and Foggy are looking at her, and oh yeah, Foggy was trying to do a thing where he put mustard in Affleck's coffee, and then when they turn to look at her, he switches it. But yeah, he basically like harasses her. Dude follows her to the park. He even like puts his hands on her and shit. And they have like it reminded me of like Matrix Reloaded, like this really wire heavy kind of like they're doing the fucking like hand block and shit type of kung fu. Kingpin's intro is pretty cool. They play that one. And Neptune song like down, dirty dog. But yeah, like it shows his building and shit, and then he's like looking out of the window all the time. Yeah, dude, Michael Clark Duncan, he's pretty good. They film him in a way that like makes him look pretty wide, you know. They still, like I said, I wish they could somehow do like the real super giant wide Kingpin, but I mean, yeah, I thought he was pretty good. This is a perfect example of like, yeah, they race swapped it, but it wasn't for woke reasons, you know. It was for, he was like the best person that came in for that part, you know, and he's pretty good in it. Oh, and yeah, like I said, Leland Orser, he's a little henchman. Oh, yeah, his Office. One thing about his Office, I noticed this the first time I watched it. I don't even think even in like on DVD standard definition you can tell, but like his Office when he's looking out the window, like when the camera's behind him, it's got like one of those fake, skylines or whatever, but it has this weird like piss yellow tint to it. Looks like there's like acid rain on the streets or whatever. Oh yeah, and then like I said, there's another instance here where like he Daredevil and Elektra are walking together, and he like stops her from like getting hit by a cab that's like running a light and shit. Like one of his most basic things he can do is not get hit by cars, except for in the new one. And then yeah, Bullseye's intros kind of funny because he's like in a pub and like shooting darts, and he kills this racist against Irish people guy. But the funny part is when he's on a plane to America, and he's like sitting next to this like old like racist in an old lady way. She's talking about how like my granddaughter married a mulatto and he made money in computers. Don't ask me how. But he like, what, he has like a chip or something, and he like flicks it like a paper football, and it gets lodged in her throat and shit. And she like dies on his shoulder, and the stewardess is like, oh, how sweet. That was pretty funny. I think at the time it was kind of, I don't know if I really liked how like the bullseye is carved into his head. I don't know, I almost think like a tattoo would make more sense than that, But it was an interesting choice, I guess, to have it like, what is it, like cut into his head, I guess? It was pretty weird. Oh, and there's a scene in Affleck and Favreau's fucking law firm, and that chick Ellen Pompeo is fucking Karen Page, and she has like one line. It also kind of reminded me of Spider-Man 2, because you know how like they have Betty Brant in Jameson's office, and it's, what's her name, from Zack and Mary, Elizabeth Berkley. Is that her name, Elizabeth Berkley? But how they had like, it's not like she was super famous when the first Spider-Man came out, but like, more than just like a random actress, I guess, playing a future female love interest, I guess, is the similarity to the Spider-Man movie. But yeah, she's like, has one line, whatever the fuck. And Foggy just like treats her like the help and shit. It's fucked up. But they get like an invitation to go to Fisk's like little ball or whatever the fuck. Oh, yeah, I like how Favreau references San Francisco because they don't have any money, so he's like, I think Lamont's gonna walk in. And he's talking about how they need clients with more money and shit. Oh, I forgot, before that there's a scene where Daredevil's like out doing his shit, and he's like, it's like a typical generic superhero scene where like a mugger is like beating up a dude, but it's cool because then you see like Daredevil's like shadow come up behind him, and then he like chases him into his apartments, and he's like kicking his ass in front of his son, and he goes up to the kid, and he's like all scared and shit, and he's like, I'm not the bad guy, and the kid's like still scared, or like, little bitch, dude. That's fucking Daredevil, dude. Show respect. But that like leads into him like having like a crisis of conscience about being a vigilante and shit. So basically he doesn't want to go Daredevil because Kingpin's too shady, whatever the fuck. And they have that scene with Elektra like finding him, and they like have that nice scene of the rain. That's another scene that reminds me of Spider-Man 1 also. But it's cool because like when it rains, he can like kind of see because it's like giving sound off whenever it hits her face. So I thought that was a cool idea. But anyway, yeah, they like he wants to like go like save some people, and she's like, "No, just stay with me," and he's like, "Oh, fuck it." So yeah, he'd rather hit that shit than go save some people for one night. But that's basically why he agrees to go to the ball or whatever the fuck. Benefit. That's a very like superhero thing too, Batman thing, like charity balls and shit. So yeah, there's a cool moment where he like Daredevil comes into the ball or whatever the fuck, and he uses like steam coming off of like food and like people smoking and shit to like see around him, and he can smell Jennifer Garner. So he follows her scent upstairs, and then they have a scene where they talk with Kingpin, and he's like, "I'm always on the lookout for fresh blood," and Affleck's, "No, we can't represent you because you're a fucking criminal," and he's like, "One thing I've learned, no one's innocent." And there was a funny joke where Favreau's like leaning on something, and he's like grabbing like the what is it, like the banister or whatever the fuck. But there's like a griffin with like boobs for some reason. I guess it was all just to make that joke because I don't know if that would be like a real thing. I don't know, maybe. It was a funny joke. Oh yeah, and then you see a shot of fucking Frank Miller, like his head hitting the ground because Bullseye just killed him, and he steals his motorcycle. But yeah, he's basically there as like a hitman for Kingpin to kill Elektra's dad. And he tries to hit Daredevil, and he misses for the first time, and they have like a little fight or whatever. But he ends up with Daredevil's billy club, and that's what he uses to fucking assassinate the dad with. And then she thinks it's him, Daredevil, I mean, and you probably seen the movie. Anyway, then yeah, after that they have that scene at the funeral, which is nice. The first of two Evanescence songs. What is that song called? All of Me or something like that. But it's cool because they call back the rain scene where it starts raining at the funeral, and she doesn't want him to see her this time, so she puts the umbrella on. And he's like, "Oh damn," that was a nice bit of acting. Because this time he wants her to stay, she can't because vengeance is on her mind. And then yeah, there's that cameo scene with Kevin Smith where he plays a coroner named Jack Kirby, and he shows Pantaleano like how the club can open and shit, and that's how he connects the dots of who it is. And then I just wrote in capital letters, wake me up inside. Save me. Damn, that song, dude. That shit was everywhere, dude. I'm always fascinated by like songs attached to like comic book movies. I think this kind of started with like Seal, Kiss by, what is it, Kiss by Rose or Touch by Rose? But I don't know. I'd like to do like a video about that or something. Just how like songs sometimes they get like really big and they're like attached to like a comic book movie, or like like Titanic or whatever the fuck, like those songs are just like one makes you always think of the other, I guess. But anyway, yeah, so Elektra goes out onto the rooftops and tries to fight Daredevil, and she ends up stabbing him. And then she takes this mask off and she sees who it is. She's like, oh shit. And he tells her to leave when a fucking bullseye comes, but she don't listen. And then there's that fucked up part. She throws her sai like a fucking dumbass. Well, for one, she left the other one, I guess, in his shoulder. So she only has one, and then she throws it. I don't know why she thought that would work. And then he throws it back at her, and then she tries to fucking catch it. Like, what the fuck, dude? And it like goes through her hand, and she's like, oh shit. She's looking at her hand. That was pretty fucked up. And then, yeah, he uses a car to fucking cut her throat. And then he does the shot from Frank Miller's Run where he stabs her and shit. Iconic shot. And so, yeah, and then after that, Daredevil, like, and Bullseye, like, end up fighting in the church and shit. And, it's not anything too special. Like, he's, like, jumping around the organs and shit. But, oh yeah, at one point he, like, throws the billy club, like, right in Bullseye's head and shit. And there's another part that's also reminiscent of Spider-Man, where at a certain point, like, Bullseye gets, like, a bunch of stained glass, and he has it, like, on his, like, hand, and he's, like, shooting it out like fucking ninja stars and shit. And Daredevil's, like, fucking dodging in between it like Spider-Man does with the pumpkin bombs. So yeah, there's another similarity. Near the stage. But he basically, Daredevil uses his hearing to, like, put Bullseye's hands in the path of the fucking, there's a sniper outside from the police force. And it fucking shoots through his hands and shit, which is pretty cool. And then he throws him out a window. And it's kind of like that, cliche shot where, like, they're falling back out of a window. Except this one, he turns and he lands on fucking Ben Urich's windshield. Fucks up his car and shit. And then, yeah, so it goes back to, like, Kingpin's hideout and fucking Wesley's like, sir, there's been a problem. And he's like, oh, the fucking Bullseye failed. And he's like, oh yeah, Wesley's like, shouldn't we get out of here? And Kingpin's like taking off his jacket. He's like, I'm from the Bronx, Wesley. You wouldn't understand this. He's like getting ready to fight him and shit. But yeah, so the fight in the theatrical version is actually, like, really truncated. Basically, he, like, throws his billy club at him, and then Kingpin grabs it and, like, fucking flings him at the window, and, like, his forehead fucking cracks the glass and shit. And then Kingpin's standing over him, and he takes his mask off. He starts laughing. He's like, oh, the blind lawyer from Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, Daredevil basically tells him how, like, he killed his dad. And then he, like, hits the sprinklers. And it's kind of cool because it's like, I don't know, it's like an effect they do where, like, I think they speed up the film or slow it down, but it gives, like, the raindrops, like, an interesting, like, strobe effect or whatever. But he uses that to see Kingpin, and he, like, slides under him and kicks his legs out from under him and shit. It's pretty brutal. He's like, oh shit. He really sold the fucking pain. And, like, he thinks he's gonna kill him, and he's like, why don't you kill me? And he's like, that wouldn't be justice or whatever the fuck. So he's like, oh, I'll come back and I'm gonna kill you. And he's like, yeah, I'll be waiting. And yeah, the ending is like, it shows Ben Urich on his computer. And it's stupid because he, like, wrote this whole ass story knowing he wasn't gonna delete it. Like, he's like, do I press print or do I press delete? Like, pressing print doesn't mean shit. It's not like he's sending it in to the editor or whatever the fuck. But he start deleting it. He doesn't even highlight it all and press delete. He just like holds backspace, and then he walks out his front door and he looks up at Daredevil, and Daredevil looks down at him, and he's like, "Go get him!" It's fucking corny as shit, dude. I was like, "What the fuck? Why'd they end it like that?" But then you see Daredevil swinging around, and it kind of reminded me of like the Nolan Batmans, where he's like Gordon's like giving the voiceover at the end, and he's like, he's our watchful protector, or whatever the fuck, our Dark Knight. And in this one, he's like, Daredevil's like, I'll always be there in the darkness, always in darkness, a guardian devil. And then that's it. Because I felt like there needed to be like another line there, like another beat, for it to make sense. But and then yeah, there's a mid-credit scene, which was pretty common with the like Fox movies, and the Avi Arad shit. He sort of jumped on that. But the mid-credit scene is just Bullseye, and he's like, he's in like a fucking body cast and shit, and he like starts to be able to move his fingers. Oh, cause there's like a fly buzzing around him and shit, and he's able to kill it with like I don't know what he kills it with, paperclip or some shit. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, Daredevil movie. I know like the extended cut like makes it better, but overall, even this version, like, yeah, dude, Daredevil 2003, a seminal comic book film, classic comic book film. It would be cool if they actually like would bring Affleck back, since they're doing all this multiverse bullshit. I want that, and I want fucking Nick Cage Ghost Rider, dude. Just tie all that shit together, and then like their planet explodes. Then they can start over with X-Men or whatever the fuck. Who knows what the fuck they're planning, dude. Gotta get the right rhythm going. Shower for days? What the fuck? Yeah, because he has a 3-hit combo where it's like you mash whatever B, and then you press the right bumper, and that gives him the Billy Club 3rd hit. So you do like the 3-hit combo, but there's not enough hits done to span with 3 hits, so you do the 3 hits, and then you do just the jab, and then you do the 3 hits, like I was saying. He's like, shut up, Foggy. They used to call you Foggy with an A. Braille Law Library. Damn, stay off the subway. Whoa. Damn, it's Echo. Holy shit. She gonna do a rain dance on me? That guy looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin. This game has a pretty good soundtrack. fuck was that, dude? Dude, is that Blade back there? Yeah, I said. Oh, what the fuck? Is that Jay and Bob, dude? It kind of looks like them. They like swap the hair and the hat. Bullshit, dude. You can fight everybody. Do they do low shots now? Alright, fuck this game. No, it's pretty cool looking and it's got a good soundtrack. But yeah, it gets repetitive. And it's starting to get bullshit. Nice.